Hey guys. So, crazy night tonight, but I am just here with you right now. I'm actually trying to multitask. So I thought as long as I'm multitasking and my videos that I'm trying to send for the apothecary are not going through, I would talk with you guys while I wait for them to go through. Um, And so I have a couple things I want to share. First off, I think sometimes it's probably easier for me to just come on and answer questions than it is for me to take your questions and sit down and send emails to answer them. So if you did send me an email, I'm going to get back to you. I promise. Things have just been pretty crazy. And believe it or not, like it's really weird when you're juggling both the spirituality portion of like knowing how the world works, right? But then you're in a human body, and so you have a job, and I went through, and you have to also straddle both worlds. And because my job is my own job, but because we own a historical apothecary, we're actually preparing for the holidays in the apothecary, which is just super crazy to think about because spiritually, like we don't think about that stuff, right? But of course, it says couldn't load content, connection lost. So that is kind of what's happening around here, and that's why I haven't gotten to you guys' emails, but I will. So the reason I'm not going to even attempt to send any more videos. It's just not functioning properly. So I thought what I would do is I would share with you guys some quotes from Ra. And I might not share all of them. I probably should have prepared this a little bit better, but I was going through a video that a friend of mine and I had a channeling session with Ra. And like her and I channel him a lot. We have a very close connection with him, and like when we do our meditations and things, you know, like we hang out together and he teaches us things. And so like obviously we're not in the same state, but like we always compare our experiences when we're meditating and stuff. And so we sat down one day and we had Ra channeled for us. And so I just wanted to give you guys some of the quotes from the channeling, because I think it's for everybody. It's you know, it's a time where we all need to come together. And so I think if these help you, it's totally worth it. So these are quotes from Ra from a channeling that was done a couple months ago already. So the first one is he was talking about how we have to learn to use our gifts, and he's going to help us learn to use our gifts. And this has to do with like a Ra ceremony that was done, and it's like, I'm not going to really get into it, but we were just trying to figure out like what's next, what's coming next. And he was talking about how you can realize when you connect to the wrong energies versus connecting to the right energies. And so I think this is really important for you guys. So his first quote was this: "You will know when you have connected to the wrong outside energies and realms because your power will decrease within you. Connections with the right ones will increase your power." Very simple, right? So sometimes I know in the beginning, like when people start channeling or they start meditating or they start automatic writing, they think, okay, well, how do I know who I'm connecting with? Well, it makes sense, but according to Ra, your power will decrease and you will feel it if you connect with the wrong outside energies. So he also said, you will feel devoured and weak when you are in the wrong energy. I love the way I love the way he has with words. So while some of this seems a little flowery and like maybe words we wouldn't use, like it's a very, at least when I speak to Ra, he's very old-fashioned and very flowery with words. So he was also talking about the things that are coming and that we have to be aware of, and how do we become aware of this, and how do we stay alert and things like that. And so this is what he said. He said, there are many things coming in sequence. They seem slightly separated to you, but in the outcome of time, they will come in great succession. You must work together energetically and keep your energies positive. For when you move into negative realms of understanding or energy, you will be defeated. So do not do that. Be positive, stay aware, stay in good placement with me and all positive beings. And then we were talking about gazing into the sun. So the sun, obviously Ra, the sun. In this ceremony, we were given moonbeams, and it's a very long story, but it's supposed to allow us to help gaze into the sun. Now, when you do this, there's specific times you're supposed to gaze, either like at sunrise or at sunset, like not in the middle of the day. Okay. So he says, to gaze into the sun comes from my time. You learned these things. Gazing into the sun gives you vision. You see the corona of the sun, and you see the corona of the sun, and as you see the corona of the sun, it is like looking into a crystal ball. You will see the past, the present, and the future with the moon drops added. So if you guys are into sun gazing or interested in sun gazing, definitely try it. According to Ra, you should be able to see the past, present, and future. So I don't get to do it too much, just simply because my work doesn't allow me to get out at that time to do it. But I did yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think I did yesterday. And so while I probably had a whole hour or so to sun gaze, and while I was meditating and sun gazing on the docks, I heard Ra come in, and I said, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm not seeing anything. I'm seeing colors. I'm seeing the corona. I'm seeing it like as a big, the sun almost became the moon when I was looking at it. Like that, the color kind of just disappeared, and it looked very moon-like. And I said, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm not getting anything. I'm not seeing like the future, the past, the present. And he came to me yesterday on the docks, and he said, all that information is being beamed to you, like what we think of like uploads and downloads and things like that. And he said, meditate tonight, and you will see. And so I was so tired, I didn't get a chance to meditate. I did a chakra meditation, but I didn't actually get a chance to like physically spend time meditating on the sun gazing. So I do encourage you guys to try sun gazing if you haven't. I definitely want to get better at it. But definitely, if you guys have questions, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer them. And I like chatting too, versus just me talking. Like, it just seems weird for me to be talking, but okay. So, and he also was telling us, remember the sun is a part of who you are energetically, and now the moon as well. And what he meant by this was that by going through this initiation, how do I explain this without getting into too much long, detailed information? So when we went through this initiation, obviously Ra became a part of us, right? But then there was like this initiation for the moon as well. And so the moon then becomes a part of us. And I think that's very interesting. I would like to ask Ra at some point if that has something to do with how I saw the sun when I was sun gazing, that the sun turned into the moon for me. It would be very interesting. So I think this is for everybody though. Like, it's not just me. I can tell you my experiences, but I think everybody is a part of the sun. Everybody is a part of the moon. I mean, you know, most people have a favorite, either the sun or the moon. For me, it's the moon. But I do love the sun because I love Ra. And we have a pretty close relationship. But so then we were asking him about how to define a mission, because everybody talks like when you meditate and when you throw your cards down, like it's all about this mission. And we were talking about, well, what do we need to know for this mission? What's going on? How, what can you tell us? And then he's like, how do you define a mission? By one action? There is absolutely no way. So it's what he's trying to say is that a mission is not just one action. It's a series of actions that makes the mission, right? So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to repeat it again. You cannot complete a mission in one action. That's not how you define a mission. So there's going to be many actions that actually make the mission for everybody, for all the starseeds and everything. And I think that's really important because from my experiences, a lot of starseeds are really caught on like, what is my mission? What am I supposed to do? Like, it's just this one thing. Like, you just do this one thing and you're done. And that's not quite how it works. So, okay, what else? Oh, okay. So he was talking about like the energies around everybody and why everybody feels so down and so defeated. And he says they want you to feel less. So they meaning people around you who don't have your best interests at heart, or other dimensional energies or frequencies that don't have your best interests at heart. So they want to make you feel less. All the energies around you in this density are even denser than it used to be because of the karma. All of the people that are here on your world are sending out their own ideas and their own thought processes and their own darknesses, which is making this realm harder to think, harder to be, harder to know. And that is why you feel so small, because people want you to feel small. But you, as in everybody, you guys have to overcome this feeling. Do not let society and the karma of the world and its density shadow your eyes. Be aware, be enlightened by the positive, not by the theories of all the things that are lies. Tell them. This is one of the reasons I love Ra, at least in my connections with him. Tell them they are full of shit, because this is what it is. You must tell them the truth. You must tell them their conspiracy theories will not happen because they are of the darkness, and you are to keep your eyes away. And to know that their conspiracy theories will not happen because they are of the darkness. And they are wanting you to keep your eyes away from looking at the sun, but you must not. So, and then what else? So crazy. So the two of you that are watching, feel free to say something. Otherwise, I feel so crazy. Okay, another one, like him and his flowery words. So, we were talking about like skills that we need, right? That like light workers need. And he was talking about, you have skills you need to build. You must take heed to have them. You say you cannot function properly in this realm. However, you must perceive and allow your gifts to come forth. And you must learn to trust. Allow the messages of yourself to be full of energy and filled with the gifts that are there and that are yours. You have these abilities, so do not shun them. And then he said, don't let others mamby-pamby you into submission or negativity or sorrow or depression. Just don't allow it. Follow the energy to the positive realms. And then he said, your realm has not yet learned how to be in the energy from outside to make it successful with you, but I will teach you. So what he's saying there is, he's saying that the energies that our realm right now has not quite learned how to embody the to embody the outside energies from the planet coming in to make it successful. And so if you ask him, he'll come help you guys. So like, don't, like, a lot of people, here's my thing. I work with a lot of Egyptian deities. I mean, Ra just is in Egypt though. So, but I work with a lot of Egyptian people, Egyptian gods, goddesses, whatever. And everybody thinks that like they have this idea of like who they are, right? Because they're gods and goddesses. And so not that they're not supposed to be revered, but that they do have actual like normal, what we would consider like normal human tendencies, normal human, like, especially when they come down to this realm and they're talking to us, because they're in that energy. So they're very normal to me. They don't, like, I think a lot of people get nervous about wanting to like try to connect with some of these deities or connect with some of these gods and goddesses because they feel so small next to them. But I don't want you guys to feel small next to them because you're asking for their help and they'll come and they're willing to help you. So treat them, be humble, but also treat them kind of on the same level. I mean, that's what I do. I don't know if that makes sense, and I'm probably not saying it correctly. But it just makes things a lot easier if you're not nervous to like talk or like interact with this deity in your energy work and meditations and things like that. So let's see what else. So there's no questions yet, you guys. All right. So those of you that are just watching, just came in. I'm reading some of the quotes from a session that I had with Ra. I talked to him a lot in my own energy work and in my own channelings, and I have a friend who works with him as well a lot. And so we kind of combined and we wrote down some quotes that he has said to us and that we think would be beneficial to everybody. So I'm just kind of reading these because I wanted to come in and say hi. Hello, Amazing Grace. Thank you so much for coming. Feel free to say hi, guys. And if you have questions or just want to talk or chat or whatever, I'm totally cool with that. The whole reason I came on in the first place was because my videos for work were not uploading where they needed to be. And so I was trying to multitask and I wanted to say hi and I was a little bored. So, okay. So he was also talking about how the body, he says, the body is very finite. It's completely sealed until you open it up to the outside realms. All the education and all the power you need is out there in the realms, but you need to bring it into here, into your body, into your mind, and I will help teach you. So, feel free to ask him for help if you guys are interested in something or want to learn something or whatever. Like, they're there. You just have to ask. They're not going to come to you, unless they have, like, sometimes they do. Sometimes, from my experience, beings do just randomly come to you and they're like, hey, we have business. Let's talk about this or whatever. But like, feel free to reach out to these wonderful beings and these wonderful energies. Okay, so then my friend and I, we were talking about like, what if there was any past experiences that are important for us to be working together at this time, at this now moment in the world's history. And he was telling us about this past experience. So I'll just share a little bit of it. So this is one of my past experiences that he was talking about, and I was sharing it with a good friend of mine that I know now, in this now. So he said, you were both part of the Na Shande Vatu, which is a ET group. You both traveled around Sumeria and eventually worked with the Anunnaki. The Naga species were already here. And also at that time, you were communicating with them from several light years away. But you came to the Sumerian area and became a part of that region for a while, flying around on your little ships. And I like how he says little ships. And doing many things here and there to help them with their DNA experiments. He said, not everything the Anunnaki did was bad. Eventually, you were able to convince the people of that area to do the right things, as they were very misguided. So I thought that was very interesting because I'm very fortunate to know or remember a lot of my past life experiences. But then when they can be correlated by another being that I'm talking to, that really hits it home for me that's like, yes, this is the right memory. So I was really happy that he was able to correlate that with me. And then to know that like my really good friend was there with me at the time when we were working together, was pretty cool too. All right, let's see what else. Do you guys have any, you're just popping in to say hi? You want to say hi? All right. What else was he saying? So then we were talking about, oh, see, this is something I haven't talked to you guys about. And this is what the book is that I'm working on that I haven't been working on for a while. So the book has to do with a lot of teachings, but more so how I came into my own understanding of things and how my 3D life was not very human to begin with, but just my experiences. Okay, so, and see, this is even really hard for me to say. And also my experiences with the person in this lifetime who has a large fractal of Ramses. And now, let me preface this by saying that many people on this earth have fractals of beings. It's not like when someone says, I'm reincarnated, I'm so-and-so and I'm reincarnated. Most of the time what they're talking about is they're talking about fractals. Oh, hi. I'm so glad that someone else said hi. Hi, Wizlaws, thank you. All right, so this is actually really good. I've been wanting to talk about this for a bit. So let's talk a little bit about fractals, okay? So most people who say that they are so-and-so and so-and-so from history, right? Now, we can't say that's true. We can't say everybody is wrong, but this is something that the world in the whole doesn't quite understand yet about how this works, how this stuff works. So part of the book is explaining how this works so everybody can understand it. But when people say, I was, let's take Akhenaten or Ramses or whatever, Nefertiti, let's just take those people, okay. Also, we could take, let's see, how other people say, well, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. So when people say, you know, I was that person reincarnated, and then you have like 4 other people saying, I was that person reincarnated. We've been led to believe that like it's this really cool thing to be somebody famous reincarnated. And then when someone else comes and like they have memories of that same person being reincarnated, then it makes, you know, the other person either really angry or upset, or they get very confused. And so let me tell you guys exactly what's happening. When a soul completes, okay, let's use the Ramses because I know a lot. I know a lot about this. Him and I communicate a lot. So, all right. This is actually a really good example. Okay, let's just say this is Ramses' experience as Ramses II, right, in Egypt. Can't believe I'm doing this. Okay, so this goes, when he's finished, it goes back into his plethora of grapes that have been his experiences. So each experience of that soul gets a new grape. Does that make sense? So if you can picture a big cluster of grapes, this then is the Ramses II reincarnation. It gets added to his own cluster of grapes. Okay, so had I thought about this, I would have had better things to show you. Okay, so maybe I can use this. All right, so this is good. Okay, so here we are. We have this experience of one person in history, right? Now, as other people decide to come in, they're going to have blank slates. They're going to have a blank grape. And then their blank grape, eventually after all of their experiences, will be filled up. And if you can, this is a pencil sharpener. So if you can picture like the pencil sharpener being all filled up. So this is all your experiences from this life. Once you pass, this will then be added to your section of grapes that is completely unique to you. Okay, so now you're wondering, how come all these people are saying they're so-and-so? All right, so this is how it works. When you decide to come in as a blank slate, all right, so let's just say this is your grape. Your grape is absolutely blank. Hey, Dee Dee. Then you, in Soul Land, you go over to Ramses and be like, hey, dude, how have you been? I haven't talked to you in a while. I am going to be incarnating and I'm going to be in the military and I need some really strong, whatever, military guidance. And I know that you've had a lot of military experience. So can I borrow one of your military experiences or a piece of your military experience? And then Ramsey's like, sure, you can borrow a fractal of me in my military experience. Okay. So then now you have this. And if there was more portions, you can add extra fractals on here. So it's not just one person necessarily. It can be, but it's not always. Okay. So now you as a blank soul, you incarnate, right? You're here on Earth and you're having all these amazing experiences. And then all of a sudden, one day, like you're doing your thing in the military and it just clicks. Like you have all these memories all of a sudden of like Ramses and military stuff. And you're like, whoa, what just happened? And then it's so easy for us because we were never taught any other way. You know, we just think, oh, maybe I was him. Maybe I was him when I don't know how to explain this. Like I know how to do things. I don't know. It's just really weird. So I have to be Ramses. I have these memories. Okay. But what's really happening is you're accessing that fractal of himself that he gave you. It's not that you were him in a past life. Okay. But you're borrowing a chunk of his memory and his abilities from that life. Does that make sense? So with that said, that is how we have so many people claiming to be people from history. And it's not a bad thing. Like, it's a cool thing. It used to really bother me in the beginning because people didn't know this, right? But as soon as I understood it, it's not something that people know because nobody explained it. Nobody took the time to explain how this works. So that's partially what the book's going to cover. And then the second part of the book is going to cover like my life with not only the fractal of Ramses, so when you have a fractal of somebody, that fractal has a certain percentage. Okay. So the original person, here's the original person. They either allow or disallow the percentage of that fractal, how much percentage of that fractal gets to take over. So can like the actual like Ramses like jump in and see what's going on and control things? If that person, the original grape, allows him to, he can. So it's like this weird contract thing, right? So does that make sense? Somebody tell me if that makes sense, because if it doesn't, I will totally try and explain it a different way. So basically what happens is we have a whole bunch of fractals floating around this earth of like people who are using other people's experiences. And it doesn't even have to be famous people. It can be people who, you know, don't have a place in history. Just because when you come in, you might need their experience and they're allowing you to have it. So that is what a fractal is. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So now that we know that, let me explain a little bit about how it affects me personally. Okay. So see, I don't even know how to do this without getting into like big discussions. So when I had met this person, this best friend of mine, Raul, right? I knew that we were different. I wasn't sure why, but I knew that we were different. I knew that we weren't like normal human, and I just didn't know. But I recognized him, you know, because like even if you have a fractal of somebody in, your soul can recognize him. So and I think that's really fascinating when you think through the eyes, you know, the soul through the eyes and stuff like that. But you can recognize him. So I recognized that there was. Okay, let me just read this. So Wizlaw says, I often say people can be, for lack of better wording, possessed without realizing it and think their thoughts are their own. Okay, so this is actually really good that you say that, because there is a there's a difference and also a fine line between having that experience of not realizing that your thoughts aren't your own, and like having a contractual agreement with fractals, right? So both of them happen, but they can both be easily confused. And sometimes, if the original soul allows that fractal to take over, that's in theory, a contractual agreement. Like, so it can kind of seem like a possession, right? But in my circumstance, it was just a fractal. But there are a lot of times when what Wizlaw's saying is true, where people can have other beings thinking that it's their thoughts, and it's really not. And this is like a huge issue with starseeds right now, where you actually have to realize your own energy, what's your own thoughts and what's not, because they have, how should I say this? There is many ways of like feeding crap into you that make you think you're your own thoughts and they're not. And so you have to say, if you know it's something that's not yours, you have to say, this is not my thought process. I command you to leave. Please leave now, and then call on Archangel Michael to come take them away and say, you can never again come to my thought process. You're banned. And if you keep clearing it out, you'll soon realize like what's your thoughts and what's not your thoughts. And it took me about a year or so to do that. And I did that religiously. Like every time I realized it wasn't my thought, I cleared it out, and it really helped. So if any of you guys are struggling with that, definitely try that and see if that helps for you. So, okay, so on to the story now. So I recognized a soul, right? And I just didn't know. And it was like meeting, like what people say with like soulmates and twin flames and whatever. It's like meeting the person that you've know, because you like know all about them, and you don't have to like second guess yourself. Like you just know. You've obviously been close to this person before. So, okay. So with that said, I come to find out many years later, that it was actually. Wizlaw says it took me 2 years and I still get lost in it from time to time. I would agree. From time to time, I still have to check and clear out. It's not like it's going to always be that way, because they're going to always try and come up with new ways of getting to you. So I totally agree. So it took me many years to realize that it was that although the original soul and I have been like brother sister many times, I was actually connecting with the fractal within that soul, because that fractal and I have had many experiences together, and so it's been very complicated. And I would love to like sit and just ramble on about all these things I've learned in relation, and you know what Ramses is like on a personal basis, and what I've learned from him, all of this stuff. But it would just go on, and it's not yet time, but I'm working on it. I'm trying to organize it all in this book. So anyway, to get back to the whole Ra thing. So Ra was talking about Ramses, and this is what Ra said about him. I gotta find it. Okay. So I mean, actually, this really doesn't matter. This really doesn't matter in the long run. So what Ra said is, I was asking like why things are the way they are between Ramses and I, because it puts me in a very difficult position of knowing the person who has a fractal in the person, but the fractal's not really in charge. It's the person. So as much as you want to talk with, the friend, he just wants to do his own thing and doesn't really want to talk with you. And you can't really do that. You can't really do much with that because it's the fractal doesn't have, the fractal is not in charge. The fractal comes out when he needs assistance with leading, I guess is what I was told, leading. So, and then I have the ability to like automatic write. I automatic write with Ramses a lot. I hear his voice a lot. I channel with him a lot. So there's a lot of things that like a lot of ways in which we communicate with. And it's not always easy because he's not an easy person. He's not an easy person to break down. Okay. So I'm not quite sure how else to say that. So in any sense, I'll just tell you what Ross said. So we were talking about this, and I wanted to know why Ramses says he claims me, which I think is not a great usage of verbiage to use. And so Ross said, Ramses claims you because he has always loved you, regardless of when you were a man or a woman. So he claimed you, yes, and he married you, and he loves you, and he wants you to know that you are his forever, and your marriage will last as long as you want it to. Which brings up a whole nother ballpark. So I learned in this whole scheme of things that there's not just earthly marriage, like beings and spirits and energies and can be married in many different ways. And this is where like the idea of the twin flame comes in, even though it's totally wrong. Don't get me started on like how wrong the twin flame thing is, because it's not what everybody thinks it is, but we've already talked about that. So, so anyway, as I'm finding out all this interesting information, it's really allowed me to learn things, but I question everything so much all the time. I never stop questioning, and sometimes Ramses gets really annoyed with me. So this is something else Ra was talking about, because like the whole thing was Ra. It wasn't really supposed to be about Ramses, but so let's see. We were talking about how starseeds have a very difficult time getting their work done, or knowing where to go, or it seems like there's always something coming at them. And this is what Ra had to say about that. He said, you see, there are many different beings coming against you to try and stop you from doing what is necessary in this realm. However, do not allow them to even believe that they can get away with anything, because you have all the power and your power is greater than theirs. They want you to think that their power is greater than yours. But I will tell you this now, your power is 10 times and 10-fold greater than theirs. You don't have to live with any of these inconveniences when doing your mission. Call on me if you don't believe it. I will, something inside your head. I can't make out what that word is. And then he goes, don't think I can? Trust me. And then he was talking about how your own energy must speak to you and you must obey it. So I think the whole thing with energy and a lot of these light workers is a lot of light workers have spent so much time in the light of what it is to be a light worker that I fear that a lot of them still don't know their abilities, like what they're capable of. Because they try to avoid the darkness at all costs. So they never learn how much power they have within them. And this is one of the issues now that we're facing, where it's time for our missions to start, and we need to be confident in who we are and in our abilities and in our energies. And we have to learn what is ours and what isn't ours. And again, just like Laws had said, we need to be very, very careful of standing in our own power and not letting people tell us what to do or tell us who we are. We have to know And that's why Ra says your own energy must speak to you and you must obey it. And this is really important also. Ra says, it is women who have the greatest roles in this era. It is women that have, and he repeated again, it is women that have the greatest roles in this area. And do not forget it. I speak the truth. So, and then he was talking about, like in your darkest days, see the sun in your forehead and let it shine out. So I think these are just a few important things that I wanted to just randomly come on and like just talk tonight to see how you guys are doing. But I will definitely, if you guys don't have anything you want to chat about, I will close with a blessing, I guess. But yeah, I appreciate those of you that commented. And again, this is really random, but I think it was meant to happen. So I will leave you guys with a blessing. And my blessing for you is that you find strength in knowing who you are. You find peace in knowing who you are. And that you have the wisdom and trust your own wisdom to lead you to what's coming next, to lead you through what's coming next to victory. Muhatia suku unati ku ushnia buasata kioshoti kumatioa pipu ushit kikiono tupukula ata ku unushutia sudubujna maliatuko maya sotoma naliasata asu usha kubi initia ku umala odrasu ku ona Mea nata sukulo jonataya bo, tiasala asha kopaniana hana labata, nasa tiasa, nala umamiata, mahala, I re moso naya nauku. Batiala sa da tuno to tiata tiata tatana tiata tata tiato to tiata nala atata tiata ta puto to tiata tata tiata tata puta da atata tata natala pu ukuto tiana la atata kiana papa tiata tutushna tiata alana haka ano tu pusonotama pialo tu ketiano shukama nalata pusonotama na akoma paasa ku usha totala ana mahana niasonono mamiata laba kuasa niashana mahala. Namaste. And just quick take a look at what came in here. If you upload this when you stream, I can turn the closed captioning on. Yeah, in the past, so in the past when I've tried to do that, it for whatever reason it doesn't pick up. I don't know if I don't enunciate well enough or what, but it doesn't pick up the words that I say, and a lot of stuff is wrong in there, but I will definitely turn it on and hope that it does its best picking out the correct words. So yeah, I'm more than happy to do that. So thank you again, guys, for tuning in. I hope you have a blessed evening and a blessed week. And remember that you can call on your guides and your teams, and even people like Ra, like he's totally there. You just have to call on him, you know? And yeah, so I guess that's it. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.